Oh my god. Becky, look at her backstory. It is so big. Hey guys, it's Amy here, back again with another video. Today I am putting on display a cosplay in honor of my favorite author, Jenna Moreci. And also one of the very first cosplays I've ever done, slightly improved. I still haven't found a dress that works for Leila from The Savior's Champion, but at least I think my makeup prowess has improved since then. This wig somehow managed to become a bit frizzier though. And I'm gonna be putting on similar costumes like this one, but probably better, for the entire month of October because, you know, Halloween, it's a thing that happens. And today we are talking backstories, the one thing to make your characters feel grounded and act like they have not just poofed into existence. But one thing that writers never seem to spot until it is too late is the rabbit hole of backstories, the backstory rabbit hole. In case you didn't get that clarification and I just reordered the words to make it better. Also, there are a lot of rabbit holes when it comes to writing. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned rabbit holes in like 3 videos in the past 2 months. The backstory rabbit hole is where you craft every single detail of your character's backstory to the point where it is longer than what you have written in your actual novels. What many people fail to see is how irrelevant it is. If the tragic villain backstory cliche has anything to say about it, it usually is 90% irrelevant and adds nothing to the story. And don't argue that your backstory adds depth to your character when your character does not change at all in your story. They have no character arc. That is not what we want. Why am I clicking? So we're going to be covering the best way to craft these backstories without falling down the backstory rabbit hole. This is a technique that I will use until I die because it works so well. Why? This technique puts your character first. And it's not even a list or anything because it is that simple in concept. I'm just gonna tell you how it's done. You know what, I can sum this up in one sentence basically. Have your character fleshed out, personality, backstories, strengths, and all. Then ask yourself, why? Why does your character behave the way that they do? Why are they so good at persuading people? Why do they fight really well? Oh, you're asking me now? I did not expect you to be asking why. When I'm asking you why, that's just I'll answer, don't worry, I'll answer. And frankly, that's good because I needed more watch time on this video. Asking why isn't philosophy. If you look back to anything on yourself and why you act the way that you do, you often link it to events that happened in your past. I wound up wanting to become an author because I was a passionate reader and I wanted to improve my writing grades growing up, which eventually led me to developing a passion for it and wanting to actually publish a novel. And I enjoy drawing because my grandmother and my mum constantly gave me supplies and encouragement to do so. See, it ain't rocket science. The past shapes the present. Causes and consequences, action and reaction. But what about their personality traits? Didn't you say in a video that characters aren't defined by the hobbies that they do? Why, yes, I did say that. And here is how you do that. The environments and the key events that happen in our lives shape who we are just as much. For instance, I don't get angry a lot or I don't like to argue with people because it happened a lot in my house growing up and I didn't really like that. It is simply a matter of taking their personality traits and trying to work out key events or key social environments that would end up having them be this way. This could even be key historical events or periods that shape it if you're writing historical fiction. For instance, somebody who was a teen in the 1950s wanting to be the ideal housewife or husband growing up based on the advertising that was made in that era. Age is just as much of a factor when it comes to sorting out these backstories and asking the why, because your personality isn't meant to be properly developed until you're around 10 years old. A defining moment from a child's upbringing can easily identify what they may be like in the future personality-wise, or at least a base from which they will grow from in a character arc. You are allowed to flesh out these events that answer your question of why, which can be especially beneficial if, for instance, you're making a character for D&D. This does not give you the excuse, though, to fill in the gaps between one key event and the other in such excruciating detail. Because remember, these are the primary things that shape your character. Unless something really major happened in their 12th birthday, we do not need to know what happened then. This can also include the relationships a character has at the start of the story. You can summarize these events in the order that the characters met and the key moments in which they ended up liking each other and deciding to stick with each other, or hating each other and declaring war. But Amy, what about the juicy details? You know, I live for the juicy details. Do you really want to go backing yourself into a brick wall? In the case of details, it is not crucial until it happens in the story and it is mentioned. And usually then, you can just be fine making it up on the spot and then just adding it to your character sheet later on. Having too much detail on a character's past can literally make you feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall. Not to mention, when it is made up on the fly, it feels very much more fluid and realistic. And then you can work that detail back into your backstory when you have the time. But I bet you're wondering what this looks like with an actual character. I would do Leila, but I do not own the rights to this story or know Leila to the extent that Jen Moresi does. So I'm just gonna do my character Abby from ASTER'S Coda Exposure. I instantly knew that I wanted Abby to be able to pick up fighting easily. So for that, I made sure she was physically active. How? By having her be in her local soccer team since she was in late primary school. She's also very quick to quip. Why? Because her brother was too, and there's very much a lot of room to have competition in that household. This also accommodates her being easy to charge up and having a short fuse, which leads to also to some of the problems that she has in school. See how easy that was? We've already covered a skill, a personality trait, and a relationship very easily just by asking the question, why? In less than a minute. And I think the most important part of this is that you'll be able to make sure that your characters don't end up being a Mary Sue with this backstory technique. And that's how you create a backstory, by asking the question, why? Let me know down in the comments what else you guys use to make up backstories. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new around here. You can ring that bell to find out when I post more content on writing, books, and digital content for authors. You can also check me down below for my Instagram, my Twitter, my website, and my book talk. Stay creative, everybody, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.